Hello friends. Welcome to Anhad channel, where we simplify difficult concepts in economics, finance, banking and insurance. Today, we are going to understand one of the most interesting concepts in economics and strategic management, game theory. Game theory is a branch of economics and mathematics that studies how individuals, businesses, or organizations make decisions when the outcome depends not only on their own actions but also on the actions of others. In simple words, game theory is the study of strategic decision-making, where each participant tries to choose the best possible strategy after considering what others are likely to do. Now, let us understand its definition. Game theory is the study of strategic decision-making in situations where the payoff of one participant depends on the decisions made by other participants. This means that your success depends not only on your own decision but also on the decisions of others. Let us understand this with an example. Suppose there are two competing smartphone companies, Company A and Company B. Both companies are deciding whether they should reduce the prices of their smartphones. If neither company reduces its price, both companies earn high profits. If Company A reduces its price while Company B does not, Company A attracts more customers and earns higher profits. Similarly, if Company B reduces its price while Company A does not, Company B gains the advantage. However, if both companies reduce their prices, both experience lower profits because of intense price competition. Here, each company's decision depends on what it expects the other company to do. This is exactly the type of situation that game theory helps us analyze. Key elements of game theory. Now, let us understand the important elements of game theory. First is players. Players are the individuals, firms, organizations, or governments that make decisions. Examples include competing businesses, consumers, governments, political parties, or even countries negotiating trade agreements. Second is strategies. A strategy is a plan of action chosen by a player. Some common strategies include increasing prices, reducing prices, launching a new product, spending more on advertising, or entering or exiting a market. Each player selects the strategy that is expected to produce the best outcome. Third is payoffs. Payoffs are the rewards or outcomes that result from a particular combination of strategies. A payoff may be measured in terms of profit, market share, customer satisfaction, utility, or even political advantage. The objective of every player is usually to maximize their payoff. Fourth is rules of the game. The rules define how the game is played. They specify who the players are, what strategies are available, the sequence of decisions, and the information available to each participant. Fifth is information. Information refers to what each player knows before making a decision. Sometimes players have complete information, while in other situations they have only partial or incomplete information. The amount of information available greatly influences strategic decisions. Now we are going to discuss types of games. Now let us discuss the different types of games. First is cooperative game. In a cooperative game, players work together to maximize their collective benefits. For example, two companies may jointly develop a new technology and share the profits. Second is non-cooperative game. In a non-cooperative game, each player acts independently and tries to maximize individual benefit. For example, two airlines competing by offering discounts without coordinating with each other. Third is zero-sum game. A zero-sum game is one in which one player's gain is exactly equal to another player's loss. Examples include chess, poker, and many competitive bidding situations. Fourth is non-zero-sum game. In a non-zero-sum game, both players may gain or lose simultaneously. For example, international trade agreements where both countries benefit from cooperation. Fifth is simultaneous game. In a simultaneous game, players make their decisions at the same time without knowing the decisions of others. A good example is two competing firms deciding their product prices independently. Sixth is sequential game. In a sequential game, players make decisions one after another. For example, a market leader launches a new product first, and competitors respond later. Now, let us discuss one of the most important concepts in game theory, known as the Nash equilibrium. The concept of Nash equilibrium was developed by the American mathematician John Nash, for which he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences in 1994. Nash equilibrium helps us understand how rational decision-makers behave when their choices depend on the actions of others. It explains a situation in which each player chooses the best possible strategy, taking into account the strategies of all other players. At this point, no player has an incentive to change their decision independently, because doing so would not improve their outcome. This concept is widely used in economics, business strategy, politics, finance, negotiations, and many other fields to analyze competitive and cooperative decision-making. The formal definition of Nash equilibrium is: a Nash equilibrium is a situation in which no player can improve their payoff by changing their strategy alone, while the other players keep their strategies unchanged. Let us understand this with an example. Suppose two competing firms both decide to charge moderate prices. If either firm changes its price while the other keeps its strategy unchanged, the firm's profit decreases. Therefore, neither firm has an incentive to change its decision independently. This situation is called a Nash equilibrium. Now, let us discuss another famous concept in game theory, known as the prisoner's dilemma. The prisoner's dilemma is one of the most well-known examples used to explain strategic decision-making. It shows how two rational individuals may make decisions that are best for themselves individually, but those decisions may lead to a worse outcome for both. Let us understand this with a simple example. Imagine that two suspects, whom we will call prisoner A and prisoner B, are arrested for committing a crime. The police question them separately, so neither prisoner knows what the other is saying. Each prisoner has two choices. The first choice is to confess to the crime. The second choice is to remain silent. Now, there are four possible outcomes. First, if both prisoners remain silent, the police have only limited evidence, so both receive a light punishment, say 1 year in prison each. Second, if prisoner A confesses while prisoner B remains silent, prisoner A is rewarded with a very light sentence or may even be released, while prisoner B receives a heavy punishment. Third, if prisoner B confesses while prisoner A remains silent, the opposite happens. Prisoner B receives the benefit, and prisoner A receives the heavy punishment. Finally, if both prisoners confess, both receive a moderate but longer punishment, which is worse than if both had remained silent. Since neither prisoner knows what the other will do, each fears that the other might confess. To avoid the risk of receiving the harshest punishment, both prisoners choose to confess. As a result, both end up with a worse outcome than if they had both remained silent. This situation is called the prisoner's dilemma. The prisoner's dilemma teaches us an important lesson. Sometimes, a decision that appears rational for an individual does not produce the best outcome for the group. It highlights the conflict between individual self-interest and collective welfare. This concept is widely used in economics, business strategy, politics, international relations, environmental agreements, and negotiations to understand situations where cooperation could benefit everyone, but fear and uncertainty prevent it. Applications of game theory. Game theory has many practical applications. In business, it helps firms make decisions about pricing, advertising, product launches, and competition. In economics, it is used to analyze oligopoly markets, auctions, bargaining, and trade negotiations. In finance, game theory assists in investment decisions, portfolio management, corporate finance, and understanding financial market behavior. In politics, it helps explain election campaigns, coalition formation, international diplomacy, and military strategy. In technology, game theory is widely used in artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, and network optimization. It is also applied in environmental economics to study climate agreements, pollution control, and resource allocation. Advantages of game theory. Game theory offers several advantages. It helps analyze strategic decision-making. It improves business and competitive strategies. It supports negotiation and conflict resolution. It assists governments and organizations in policy formulation. It helps predict competitors' likely behavior. Finally, it promotes better planning and efficient resource allocation. Limitations of game theory. Despite its usefulness, game theory also has certain limitations. It assumes that people always behave rationally, which is not always true in real life. Human emotions, ethics, and psychological factors are difficult to include in mathematical models. Many real-world situations are much more complex than theoretical models. In addition, accurate information is not always available, making predictions less reliable. To conclude, game theory is a powerful tool for understanding strategic decision-making. It explains how individuals, firms, and governments make decisions when their outcomes depend on the actions of others. By understanding concepts such as players, strategies, payoffs, Nash equilibrium, and the prisoner's dilemma, we can analyze competition, cooperation, and decision-making more effectively. Game theory is widely used in economics, business, finance, politics, artificial intelligence, and management, making it one of the most important analytical tools in modern decision-making. Friends, with this we come to the end of today's session. If you found this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon so that you receive notifications whenever we upload a new video. On this channel, we regularly upload educational content on economics, finance, banking, insurance, financial crime, GST, income tax, accounting, financial management, and investment management in a simple and easy to understand manner. Please explore the channel for more videos on these topics. See you in the next video with another interesting and informative topic. Till then, bye and take care.